and welcome to this edition of Talk Vietnam. It is estimated that around 70 million unexploded ordnances or UXOs from wartime still remain in some 70 nations in the world. As a mother who felt that no child should ever have to walk the earth with the fear of landmines beneath their tiny feet, our featured guest today has dedicated the past nearly 20 years to transforming lands once ravaged by mines into fertile growing grounds, turning, as she says, mines into vines. Her name is Heidi Kuhn, and she hails from the United States. Heidi and her organization Roots of Peace have worked in Vietnam during the past decade in order to create sustainable livelihoods for hundreds of farmers, victims of UXOs, as well as those affected by Agent Orange dioxin. Heidi is here today along with her husband, Gary Kuhn, and they're both going to share with us more about the journey of Roots of Peace. Thank you very much, Gary and Heidi, for joining us.
Come on, we're honored to be here.
Yes. Can you please first of all share with us the purpose of your trip to Vietnam this time?
Well, we departed with our delegation, our Roots of Peace delegation, on Veterans Day, arrived in Vietnam on a clear mission on the 50th anniversary of the worst battles of the Vietnam War, 1968, to walk the minefields of Quang Tri, to bring awareness to the world of the critical importance of turning mines to vines, replacing the scourge of landmines with bountiful pepper vineyards and agricultural crops. So it's been an amazing week and always such an honor to be back in Vietnam.
The fact that there is still a silent battle going on in the land here in Vietnam, that the remnants of war still remain, also makes your mission all the more important.
And it's the silent suffering. It takes 8 pounds to detonate a landmine, which is the average weight of a newborn child. So as a mother of 4 children and a grandmother of 3 children, Gary and I felt just it is our moral responsibility as parents to respect the next generation, to allow them to walk without fear, and to have the dignity to cultivate the best pepper in the world comes from Quang Tri province. So we're really taking the worst from the Vietnam War. You know, when I was a small child at 10 years old, 1968, the television was black and white during those times, and I would watch every evening on the evening news. My parents would be watching, and there was something called a body count, and it was such great sadness. These bodies of young men, and there was something called a body count, which I couldn't understand when I asked my mother, and it made me cry. So I was motivated when she told me that I would use my education. So I applied to school at University of California at Berkeley during the 1970s, and that was the time of peace and love in the Vietnam War. So I'm hoping that, you know, from days of being a teenager and now being 60 years young, that I can inspire my fellow students at UC Berkeley and those who are involved in the peace movement to know about the silent suffering that continues to exist. Now that we are elders, we have the responsibility to continue that peace movement, continuing in the heart of Quang Tri province, in the heart where the worst battles in 1968 occurred, with the suffering of mothers on both sides. Roots of Peace is very clearly not into the politics nor the religion. Landmines don't know them. They're inert $3 remnants of war put in the ground, and seeds of hatred, seeds of terror. Unless we remove them, they lay dormant, and the innocent footsteps of children and farmers are at risk. And very tragically, since April 30th, 1975, when the Vietnam War ended, over 100,000 Vietnamese farmers, children, innocent footsteps have been maimed or killed. And that is the silent suffering that we're trying to break through. We hope to bring this truth to the surface and help heal the wounds of war, not only in Vietnam, but the 70 million landmines that remain today in 70 countries. As a proud grandmother, I have walked the minefields of the world in an effort to turn mines to vines, replacing the scourge of landmines with bountiful vineyards worldwide. Today, there are an estimated 70 million landmines silently poised in 70 countries around the world. We cannot be silent. We trust that our small footsteps may prevent the loss of many Vietnamese footprints due to the legacy of war.
You later on went on to be a CNN reporter, working in news and production. When was there a defining moment when you decided that you would leave that job in order to pursue this mission of turning mines into vines?
Well, I became the reporter on covering peace and seeing peace talks, peace treaties,
Yes.
but not enough peace action.
Exactly.
And, you know, life has its sunshine and shadow. I was diagnosed with malignant cancer, and I was 30 years old with a 1, 3, and 5-year-old, so it was a very defining moment, and that's why I really hung up my cleats to take care of myself. And years later, I actually had another little baby, and when I was holding him in my arms, I was watching the footsteps of the late Princess Diana and her work on landmines, and I thought, aha, cancer is a landmine because we all never know quite when we're going to step on it, and landmines are a cancer to the earth.
Yes.
And the solution is removal. So I just really dedicated my life to the vision 3 weeks after Princess Diana died to do something beyond peace talks, beyond peace treaties, but take peace action. And it really just came birthed from my heart to turn mines to vines and replace the scourge of landmines with bountiful vineyards and orchards worldwide.
Very inspirational journey.
So that's how it started.
Yes, Gary, for the family, how was it seeing this journey of Heidi, you know, going, you know, from being, you know, first a weather anchor woman, and then to going through, you know, to battling cancer, and then to eventually finding this kind of her mission in life.
Yes, well, she's quite tenacious when she finds her mission, and she's brought the whole family along, and so I've been involved in it, and our kids were all involved in it in the early days. We were licking stamps and folding envelopes and going to events and conducting events. So it's been a family effort all along, and Heidi's been the leader carrying us forward on this. And it started in 1997, and you know, Quang Tri is where we focused here, and there's the goal there is to clear all the remnants of war from Quang Tri province, and the U.S. government is heavily focused on that as well. And so we've been working with organizations to do that, and it's been wonderful. Heidi just has kept this energy going the whole time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm equally thankful to Heidi, who founded the Roots of Peace in 1997. And I recall, Heidi, your astonishing energy and enthusiasm and the success of your organization in helping to eliminate landmines and creating lands for peace and prosperity provide an inspiration for us all.
Heidi Kuhn became gravely aware of landmines and their lasting effects on economies upon the death of Princess Diana in 1997. Heidi began Roots of Peace with a vision to turn mines to vines. Roots of Peace has worked in numerous continents to bring economic empowerment to populations living in post-conflict regions. In Vietnam, Roots of Peace assists farmers to grasp the tools and resources to grow cacao, black pepper, cashew nuts, and coffee, providing them with the ability to effectively and efficiently market and sell the products. Her goal is to bring dignity to farmers and families living in war-torn lands while preparing for future generations to thrive.
Tell us about the name of your organization, Roots of Peace, very symbolic name.
Well, we started out with the concept of mines to vines, but it really wasn't deep enough because it's not just vines, but it's orchards, and just digging deep into the earth, uprooting the evil, and creating a tree of life where, you know, the fresh fruits can bloom on the former war-torn lands and provide shade to the farmers at the end of the day. So Roots of Peace really became the birthing from my heart as a mother.
From Roots of Peace, there, there's also the concept, a project that you carry on, which is Mines to Vines. Was that inspired from kind of your first project because it had to do with kind of growing vineyards and orchards?
It was just the vision of turning killing fields into vineyards. So I went from there to the Napa Valley, you know, our very, very close, 30 minutes away from my home, and went to some wonderful, generous vintners and said, I have an idea. Let's turn mines to vines. And they're like, and what are we doing? And so, you know, birthing an idea is hard, and it's even harder to take it out of the living room of your home. But wonderful vintners donated their bottles of wine, and this is an example. They hosted events for Roots of Peace, and they created this beautiful bottle of wine so that actually we sell it, and the money comes back to monetize it. They donate the barrels, and so we can take out more landmines, more landmines. So 400 California vintners actually came behind us.
Since 2011, Roots of Peace has supported 3,559 households in the central provinces of Quảng Trị, Quảng Bình, and Quảng Nam. This NGO now focuses mainly on its projects in Quảng Trị, where it helps farmers grow pepper for stable incomes. It also donates breeding cows to some poor families. Roots of Peace has spent $475,000 helping MAG demine some 570 farms in Quảng Trị province. It also supports victims of landmines and Agent Orange dioxin, providing them with wheelchairs, helping them repair their houses. Children with disabilities at their schools also get support from Roots of Peace with learning and teaching aids.
Roots of Peace, before coming to Vietnam, have been in Croatia, Cambodia, as well as Afghanistan. What led to the decision of coming to Vietnam?
We started in Croatia, and we focused on vineyards there. And we learned something. We were just focusing on taking the bombs out of the ground and the mines out of the ground. And we realized that the farmers, after they came back to their fields, they weren't able to restart their agriculture. They had to keep working at their day job that they had. They couldn't wait 3 years for the orchard to come back to life. So we tried to put together a model that is take care of the replanting side as well. So we did that in Cambodia as a trial where we helped 3 villages clear the vines out of the villages, and then brought them in and taught them how to grow rice. We did that, and that worked really, really well. Then we went to Afghanistan. The Afghan government and the UN actually asked us to come there, and it worked very well. We expanded the programs there. And Vietnam, we actually had a donor who said they want us to come and do the same model here in Vietnam. And they gave us funding to come in and do that analysis and see if we could have a positive impact of not only taking the bombs out of the ground, but then helping the farmers improve their livelihoods after that. The study showed that it would work very well. So it was with that anonymous donor that
we still don't know who that was. It was about $500,000, and somebody said, go to Vietnam.
And,
and you started in Binh Phuc with Tucker, our son. And tell about the Shade Project.
Yes. We started in Binh Phuc, which is way up by the Cambodian border. And there's no other foreigners out there. And so our team, Tucker, was living there.
He was 25 at the time?
Yes, 25
years old.
And we looked at different, so there's bombs and mines still in that area, and those were getting cleared out. But we looked at the different crops that they can grow, and they were growing cashews there already. But the prices of the cashews were very low, and farmers were tearing the cashew trees out to plant rubber trees, which is not a good switch. And so we looked at it and said, well, we could plant cacao bushes underneath the cashew trees, and then the farmer would get the incomes from both crops. And that turned out to be very, very successful.
Yes.
So we did that with 3,000 farmers there, and worked with them on the cashews, actually improved their yields on the cashews, and were able to get the cacao as well.
Yes.
Cacao needs to grow underneath the canopy. You can't have direct sunlight. And like coffee, we looked at other crops, about 10 other crops, and analyzed it, and this was the highest net income return to do the cashew and the cacao together. So we did that, then we worked with Cargill to come in and set up buying centers so that farmers could sell the cacao directly to the Cargill or other buyers. And the net result was that these farmer incomes actually were tripled.
Wow.
So it was a big impact for these farmers, and it's a great thing to come back and see that activity. So that was out in Ben Phuc, but we always wanted to work in Quang Tri in the DMZ area, and we're now working in Quang Binh and Quang Nam as well. And we came into that area and looked at the crops and looked at what would be the best thing. Black pepper was one of the ones in the lower areas, and coffee was in the higher areas. And so, but Quang Tri was heavily impacted with bombs, unexploded bombs. 78% of the area had explosive remnants there.
Exactly.
So, so we had to go in and work closely with the mine clearance activities. So we set it up so that the mine clearance groups would clear the mines. Mine action group, mine advisory group is the one we were working with. The MAG. They would clear the remnants of war away, and we would immediately come in and work with the farmer to establish a new crop. It was just one right after another.
Năm đó là sau hòa bình rồi tôi về tại quê hương để làm ăn sinh sống, thì cũng không may mà vướng phải một bom mìn mà nổ. Coi như lúc đó tôi mới mấy tuổi đó thì chứ từ ngày đó đến bây giờ tôi chịu một cái cảnh tan phế cụt hai chân, mà rồi một con người phụ nữ mà nam giới thì còn tạm được lết bò được, các người phụ nữ quá vất vả mà cụt hai chân thì coi như mất hết nửa thân mình rồi. Từ ngày đó cho đến hôm nay là mấy chục năm rồi, nhưng mà rồi tôi cũng phải chứ 60 mấy tuổi rồi phải đi làm lũ đi, phải cuộc đất lặt cỏ để kiếm sống thôi.
Rooster Peace has realized Lu's wish of having a new wheelchair to replace her 26-year-old one.
Giờ nó cái chiếc xe nữa mà cuộc sống của tôi đi lại đường dài, để rồi tôi kiếm củ khoai, củ sắn nữa, kiếm một chuối, một rau nữa về để tôi chăn nuôi con gà, con lợn nữa để tôi kiếm sống nó thế.
Landmine victims like Lu have motivated Heidi and her colleagues at Rooster Peace to try harder to help more those alike.
Hoàn cảnh rồi là tôi không lấy được chồng, thành ra tôi kiếm một đứa con, tôi có quyền làm mẹ. Nhưng bây giờ con tôi thì hắn cũng đã lớn, hắn có vợ, có con, nhưng mà hắn cũng đi làm ở bên Mac á.
Is MAG or UK-based Mine Advisory Group that Heidi Kuhn and her organization have partnered in an effort of removing explosive remnants of war. Rooster Peace has granted MAG a total of $475,000 worth of donations it has ever raised for this purpose. Today, Heidi Kuhn and the delegation of Rooster Peace joined MAG staff to detonate an explosive remnant of war. Marcus Noble, a fourth-generation nephew of Arthur Noble, the inventor of dynamite, was among those present at the event.
This stuff is primitive and barbaric, over 50 years old, and it can still kill. So it's time for a new paradigm of earth ethics, universal peace, and let's get rid of this shit.
After the war, an estimated 800,000 out of the 7.8 million tons of bombs dropped by the US Army remain unexploded, contaminating about 20% of the land nationwide. with Guangxi province known to have suffered the most. Thanks to mine clearance efforts by such organizations as MAG and Roots of Peace, more than 150 square kilometers of land in Guangxi are now totally free from explosive remnants of war. Some 685,000 UXOs or unexploded ordnance, including cluster munitions and landmines, have been successfully detonated.
If I may go into the science of it a little bit, just so that our audience can understand better. When mines are taken from the land, usually how difficult is it to get that land back to an agricultural state where it can yield and produce crops for the local people?
Yeah, it's a really good question, because it's in some areas you could grow certain crops. You can't grow tree crops in low areas that are very wet, so that's where they grow rice. But in the other areas where they're a little bit hilly, you could grow the higher value crops. So we look at the area that the clearance is done, and actually the mine clearance teams have all these tractors and stuff. They were able to till the soil and get the soil ready for the farmers. And this is a lot of work, and the farmers are so happy that their whole field was already tilled.
Yes,
for them.
they don't have to do it
They didn't
by
have to, it's a lot of
hand.
work, right?
Yes.
So they came in and they were able to plant right away.
Wow.
And so when we work with farmers, we offer a whole package. The package includes the fertilizer, the tools, the training, and the trees. And the farmers contribute cash to the program too. They have to pay half the costs. So we don't want to just come in and give things to them. It's an investment for them. So they pay money, and so then they have to look and see what's the right way to do this, and are these good trees? And so then when they do that, then they're invested in this activity, and it works very well. So these farmers we formed the farm clubs, about 25 to 30 farmers in each club. And we train there, and then they help each other and work through. And they're planting immediately. And for black pepper, it's 2-3 years they're in production.
Wow.
So it's fairly quick.
Some black pepper
Yes,
right there.
I believe you bought some black
Yeah, we brought
peppers
some.
from.
So we looked at the net income for the farmers. That if they did cassava or black pepper, coffee, the different crops that they could actually grow there, and black pepper came out the highest. And as far as what is the return for that farmer, and so we projected that we could triple their income as well by doing the black pepper, and we're able to do it in a fairly small area, so they could add on the black pepper to their existing land. You grow it in a fairly tight area, and it grows up on these poles or living trees. And also Quang Tri has really good black pepper. The Vietnam grows lots of black pepper. It's the #1 in the world now. They passed up India.
It's
I'll
have a smell.
Yeah, have a smell.
Have a smell. Yes, yes. Even in Vietnam, Guangxi peppers are quite famous. And I understand that these peppers are actually have made it to the shelves of American stores as well through the efforts of Roots of Peace. Is that right? Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, it's so as we said, we do the whole value chain, and we want to make sure that the farmers have connections into the market. And the farmers were, when we first started out, first of all, that there's a lot of the diseases and problems with black pepper in Quang Tri when we first arrived. So we had a great horticulturalist, Dr. Ben, and we took care of the problems and got the existing orchards growing really well again. But what we also did is we taught them how to grow higher quality.
Yes.
Okay, and now we have this higher quality Quang Tri pepper. We don't want to just sell it into the commodity chain in Saigon, so it's mixed in with all the other black pepper of Vietnam. Then you don't, this really good pepper now is just mixed in with average pepper. So we kept it separate and said we have to make a market for this now. So we took containers of black pepper to California, and then we're selling that to companies who bottle spice, and it's sold throughout the United States now.
Wow.
So
yes, that's giving it even more value.
Exactly.
Kind of bringing up the labeling and the branding.
Yes.
Value added.
Yes.
So we're really stressing on how to improve the quality. Every harvest we want it better, And we're now starting on a program to make it organic. And because in America, the price for organic black pepper is
even higher.
much, much higher
Wow.
than standard black pepper.
In 1996, Nguyễn Ngọc Tư in Cam Chính Commune, Cam Lộ District, unfortunately suffered a landmine accident. His health deteriorated. His family's livelihood depended on pepper trees. However, due to the lack of capital and technical support, income from the pepper was very low. With Roots of Peace supporting him with 70 new pepper trees, Tư was motivated to restore and plant 250 new roots. In 2016, after 10 years farming pepper, for the first time, his family earned a stable income from the harvested pepper. Besides supporting landmine victims like Tư, Roots of Peace also helps other needy farmers for a cycle of 3 years. Thanks for this support, some 300 farmer households in Vĩnh Thạnh Commune, Vĩnh Đình District of Quảng Trị Province have accessed technical training and known how to grow pepper for higher yields. Pepper now has brought about life-changing incomes for many families, including Nguyễn Quang Hai.
Nhờ cái dự án và xây dựng được cái là cái cơ ngơi, nên đời sống kinh tế gia đình là đi lên, mua được đất, làm nhà cho con, xây dựng gia đình cho con là cái đàng hoàng.
Bùi Công Kiên has taken part in Roots of Peace project since its first days, which was 5 years ago. The project helped him with 70 pepper trees, sharing with him half of the costs for fertilizers, pesticides and seedlings, and providing him with technical assistance.
Được dự án hỗ trợ cho 50 rồi, thực tế thì gia đình thì cũng rất là phấn khởi. Thì dù có khó khăn nhưng mình cũng phải tạo điều kiện để làm, cũng phải hun vào đó cho đủ cái số vốn như vậy để mình làm cho nên. Thì đó là cũng điều phấn khởi, người ta đã cho 50 rồi thì mình tối chứ mình không phải bỏ ra 50 nữa.
Heidi, how have you seen kind of, going into Quảng Trị from the beginning, how have you seen the farmers develop over the time that Roots of Peace has implemented this project with turning mines into pepper vines?
We have a book that our dear camera person has produced and really telling the story. This is the beautiful book that Lam has created.
Yes.
A dear friend of mine, Emma Farr-Rawlings, who joined me, and the hands of American mothers reaching out to the Vietnamese mothers who have suffered. This woman in particular had lost her husband. She heard a terrible boom, and these are just the story after story of the suffering.
Yes.
But the hope. This is really what has inspired me. This is a dear little boy. His name is Tran Van Hoan, and he was 17 years old. Ironically, across the world on that very same date, we were hosting a black tie event raising money for Vietnam. Beautiful black tie gala. We raised about $150,000. Across the world, little boy picked up what he thought was a rock to fix his bicycle. And it was a cluster munition, and so it blew off his face and his left arm. And for some reason, I heard about that the next morning, and I was planning to come to Vietnam, and I said the first and most important thing we need to do is see this young boy. And as you can see over my shoulder is his mother with her arm over me, not hitting me, but it's holding my arm, and the emotion there to tell him how sorry I was for his situation. I promised him that I would get him an arm, and I worked very hard to do that. 3 months later, I came back and was so happy to hear he was out of the hospital. So our team drove into a very remote village, and in that village, the mother was there to greet me, dressed in white and a white bandana, and it was a coincidence in the saddest context of being the 49th day. We arrived at his funeral. And when I hugged that dear little mother Hue, who's very, very short, I'm very tall, the tears of an American mother flowed with the tears of a Vietnamese mother. And I promised with all of my heart that I would do everything I can within my footsteps to eradicate all the landmines in Quang Tri. So I went to MAG and I said, how much is it going to cost and how fast we can do it? And the only obstruction to making this happen is money. So I launched a capital campaign with Roots of Peace to raise $20 million by Earth Day 2020 so that we remove these landmines in Quang Tri from the face of the earth.
On a Sunday in late 2014, Trần Văn Hoàn, a 12th grader, was on the way to glean cassava with his mother, each one in different directions. It was almost noon when Hoàn accidentally triggered an explosion. He lost one hand and one eye. Although he was taken to hospital, about 2 months later, he died due to severe head injuries.
Bà đi về thăm cháu, nói cháu là lên về thăm cháu, nhưng ngờ là cháu mất. Là đúng bà về là đúng ngày tuần 50 của cháu. Bà cũng khóc.
I feel tremendous sadness for the loss of her child. As an American mother, I can only imagine the pain of a remnant of war that was left behind 40 years ago after the war ended. And I hope the strength and the tears of two mothers can help bring the consciousness to the world to remove these deadly seeds of hatred from Vietnam and from our one earth.
In 2015, during her visit to Hue's family in Cam Nghĩa Commune, Cam Lộ District, Quảng Trị Province, Heidi did what she said was the smallest thing she should do for Hue, buying her a cow. That cow gave birth to a calf, which earns Hue some $650. Hue used the money to take care of her home and her garden.
Họ đã được con rồi, mà cũng biết là để làm răng cho bọn để cho cháu, để mà làm cho cháu được 2 đứa người bố cho đàng hoàng. Lỡ khi mà tụi con mất rồi thì mổ mang cũng thỏa mãn cho cháu.
The U.S. dropped more bombs in Vietnam than World War I and World War II combined. Trần Văn Hoàn, Hue's son, was among some 8,540 victims killed by explosive remnants of war in Quảng Trị.
Is there a targeted group of particular farmers that you help? Are these people who have had members of their family killed by bombs and mines, or is it more of the community right surrounding the area that has been demined?
Each program is a little different, but I mean, at first there's a minimum, like you have to have certain things in order for that crop to grow. So we can't just accept everyone because their land may not be suitable for that crop. So that's the first filter. We were very open in that process. In Quang Tri now, our current programs are focused on specific groups. They're focused on people with disabilities and also kind of disadvantaged groups in kind of remote areas. We wanted them in certain areas. We wanted some in this area, some in this area, some in this area. And our goal was not to convert every farmer over. It was to be a catalyst. We'll do a few here, and then someone will see that, and then they'll do it on their own.
Over the years, you know, what are some of the success that you might say that Roots of Peace can be most proud of?
I think that where you see the most impact is at the farmer level. And when you go to a family that was earning $600 or $800 per year to they're earning $5,000 a year, and they could decide on what they want to spend their money on, whether they want to get clothes in the school, everything. And they're empowered. Their confidence is stronger. And
my proudest moment is that Roots of Peace has planted over 5 million fruit trees in all 34 provinces, impacting over 1 million farmers and families.
On the afternoon of March 23, 2015, Lê Hữu Hà, a 42-year-old farmer in Gio Bình Commune, Gio Linh District, was killed by an unexploded ordnance while digging in his orange orchard. His wife, Lê Thị Kiếm, had to take the burden of raising their 3 children alone.
Come all the way here, far away, because we're so sad
about the loss of your dear husband and all the bombs that are in Quang Tri. So we're very deeply committed to removing all the landmines. By 2020, we will do everything we can to help achieve this goal, and we will make beautiful, prosperous farmers out of you and your children and your grandchildren, so they never have to suffer what your heart has suffered so greatly.
After her husband died of that landmine accident, Kim's family was left with a 3-hectare orange orchard. Her most concern is how to protect the orchard to make it an income to support her 3 children.
Cam này là năm nay là 3 năm tuổi rồi. Nên giờ nói gì người với trâu bò nó phá cái dưới nên.
Sharing with her grief and loss, Roots of Peace donated her a fence defending her orchard.
Giờ có cái hàng rào đó nữa về múc về hàng rào để chứ để ngọn kiểu bảo vệ cho cái vườn cam này là cho nó tốt đó.
Heidi and her organization Roots of Peace hope that the orange orchard will generate a stable income to help Kim's and her family overcome their financial difficulties.
What are your big hopes and dreams for Roots of Peace and the farmers here in Vietnam?
Well, first is that these bombs shouldn't be there. It's really need to get these bombs out. So I'm heartened that Cam Lo is clear at one district, and they'll go district by district and finally clear them all. So that's the first thing. But the other thing is really just give these farmers opportunities to select what crop and what opportunity they want to grow to, and grow up out of poverty. And it's the options are there, and we're just facilitating this, and we're hoping that the government and other organizations can follow this as our catalyst as far as get this going, and everyone should be doing the same thing. And so we want Quang Binh, Quang Nam, and all the other provinces to kind of follow the same model.
What do you think about your journey? When will you stop, do you think?
Till every landmine is gone. My business plan is to put myself out of business, and will do everything I can with the footsteps I'm given to eradicate the landmines, turn mines to vines, and plant the roots of peace on earth.
Yes. Thank you very much, Gary and Heidi, and Roots of Peace, your entire family, and the many donors that have supported the work of Roots of Peace, for the work that you've done here, supporting the farmers, bringing Roots of Peace, turning mines into vines, and creating a better future, not only for Vietnam, but also for the world. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you again very much. And that has also wrapped up this edition of Talk Vietnam, learning about the incredible 20-year journey of Roots of Peace in alleviating the remnants of war, bringing new possibilities to the land as well as the local people in both Vietnam and many other countries around the world. We do hope that you have enjoyed this edition, and we'll see you more next time on Talk Vietnam. Goodbye for now.